Matt Lucas, and welcome to And the Winner Is. Yes, forget about all those other high-profile awards ceremonies, the Oscars, the BAFTAs, or even the Rear of the Year, a title currently held by John Sargent's face. No, I can say that because I'm classically beautiful. Because tonight I'm hosting the awards to end all awards, the Lucases. This is the awards show for anything and everything, from the Lucas for most impolite football chant to the Lucas for best surprise in a Kinder Egg. It's the crocodile. It is the crocodile. To help me tonight, I have three guests who have each brought along their own nominations for our different categories. Please welcome Stephen K. Amos, Joe Caulfield and John Richardson. Welcome. Now, Stephen, have you been to many award shows before?
I have been to quite a few award shows before, actually, Matt. The one that sticks out most for me is going to the Baby Product of the Year award.
Right.
And a pram one.
Really? Did the pram make a lovely speech?
The pram didn't, but I actually asked the pram maker if I could have one of the prams. And having no children myself, I gave it away as a present.
Oh.
Having no children yourself, why did they give you one?
Because I lied convincingly.
Joe, have you ever won an award?
I did when I was at school. I won Most Improved Behaviour.
Oh.
Yes, but it was slightly stinging because my best friend was expelled that term. So it kind of felt like I got the award by kind of grassing her up.
John, are you a fan of award ceremonies?
No.
Why not?
Well, it's all a bit backslappy and sickening, isn't it?
You're not bitter at not having won many, then?
I won one once. It was a swimming award. It was for coming second last.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's on to our first award of the night. Now, there have actually been some really good film sequels. I loved Orson Welles in The Third Man, even though I've never seen the first two. And I thought The Magnificent Seven was easily the best in the Magnificent series. However, many sequels are an insult to the memory of the original film, which is why I've decided it's time to award a Lucas for most disappointing film sequel. And the nominations, please, John.
Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan.
Joe.
I'm going to nominate Jaws 2.
Stephen.
Rocky 2, 3, 4, 5, and the imaginatively titled Rocky Balboa.
John, you big hunk of gay love, why have you gone for Friday the 13th, Part 8?
Well, it's all in the title, really, isn't it? All you need to know is that huge amounts of money were being discussed, and they said, "So what's the big pitch, Tony?" And he said, "Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan." Woo. And they said, "That works for me." And everything that happens after that is abhorrent. That was a total... That money could have been given to charity. They could have just set fire to it, and the world would have been a better place.
What was it about the previous 7 that didn't upset you as much as this one?
I think up to Friday the 13th, Part 7, we were all interested to see the resolution of what would happen to Jason. Would he find love? I haven't really seen him. I don't really know what they're about. I'll give you a line from Jason Takes Manhattan, and
Great
it's the bit where he's chasing them into New York, and they run into a shop, and the girl says, "You don't understand. There's a maniac trying to kill us." And the shopwoman says, "Welcome to New York." Changed my mind, actually. That's great cinema.
Great.
Yeah, that is. That's deep, that is. Yeah. OK, fair enough. Joe, tell us why you've gone for Jaws 2.
Because Jaws 1 was great. Jaws 2, exactly the same thing is happening, but just done really badly. For some reason, everyone in the town has completely forgotten that last year, everyone at the beach got eaten by sharks. So every time Roy Scheider says, there's a shark and he's coming and he's going to eat people, everyone goes, what? He's crazy. What's he doing? And then when they finally kill it, they get it to chew through an electric wire. And you go, that's how you'd kill a hamster, not a shark.
I saw Jaws, the first Jaws, when I was 7, and I was so scared I wouldn't have a bath for a year, right? But also I had to poo standing up because I was afraid. It's true. I was afraid to sit down in case a little baby Jaws came up the toilet. It's true. Stephen, tell us why you've plumped for all of those Rockies, Rocky 2, 3, 4, 5, and Rocky Balboa.
I'm sure I'm not the only person here tonight that will agree that Sylvester Stallone is a terrible, terrible actor.
How dare you?
Oh.
The one Rocky film is the same story over and over again. It is sickening. Sylvester Stallone couldn't get any work as an actor himself. He had to write his own script, and he's been dining on the one script for all these years. If you're an old man in your 40s, don't box. You'll die.
What would you do if you were making a Rocky sequel?
I'd open the show, right, with him getting punched in the face and in a coma for the entire film. And then we see what happens.
And then it's just like the soundtrack to the film is just bleep.
Yeah.
And then would you kill him off halfway through the film and just look at his cadaver, or would you just kill him off at the end?
I'd keep the audience waiting till the end. Get all the trainers, the ex-trainers that have come through, the old fighters he fought coming through, all of them saying their ridiculous notions of hope for his life. We love you, Rocky. Come back to us. And the audience are on the edge of their seats going, will you make it? And the end of the film is go... And then we'll know then that there'll be no more Rockies.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
You hang his body in a deep freezer and a new boxer comes in and bashes it for half an hour. I think he's good.
You do?
Adrian! Say that again.
Adrian! It's good acting.
Well, I've got to think of a winner for most disappointing film sequel here. And I think I'm going to have to go for Jaws 2, just because the first Jaws is so frightening, but such a masterpiece. And Jaws 2 is just pants, isn't it? Let's be honest. So, for that reason, the glittering Lucas for most disappointing film sequel goes to Jaws 2. On to our next prestigious Lucas Award. Now, every country has its own phrases and sayings. In Russia, they say any sandpiper is great in his own swamp. In Belgium, they cry, don't make use of another's mouth unless it has been lent to you. And in Spain, they say there is little use in watching a bad woman. They obviously haven't sat through the auditions for Britain's Got Talent. Sorry, Susan. Sorry. But which of our proverbs is worth 2 in the bush? Let's hear the nominations for the Lucas for most unhelpful proverb. Stephen.
A stitch in time saves 9.
Joe.
Every cloud has a silver lining.
Oh, that's a nice one. I like that one. And John.
A little of what you fancy does you good.
Stephen, tell me sweetly and succinctly, without hesitation, deviation, or whatever the other one was, why you have gone for a stitch in time saves 9.
I have no idea what this actually means. A stitch in time saves 9 what? What are they trying to tell us? Who are these people stitching stuff? What, are you tailors? We're not. What do you want to say now?
If you've got a little rip and you stitch it, then it doesn't rip big. And all of a sudden I'm talking English like I'm 5.
I've got to say, Joe, I've got a life to lead. If I have a little stitch, I might just put something else on. Primark do very cheap clothes now. I'm going to go out on a limb here. It's because you're a girl.
That's actually racist against girls.
Yeah.
Do you darn socks?
No, I'm not insane or in prison.
Right.
No.
So you don't make baskets or anything like that either?
But I will sew a button on, and because why?
To a sock.
and make myself a friend. Yes.
A stitch in time saves 9 what?
A stitch in time, if you do it in time, then you won't have to do 9 stitches at a later date.
Yeah, but 9.
But maybe those 9 save 81 stitches. I don't know, maybe the 9 stitches are more helpful, saving the whole of the garment being rendered useless. So maybe if we did sew up the first stitch, then that's just papering over the cracks. Maybe we need to let that first stitch go to then allow us to see the 9 that need doing to save the 81 stitches, because we all know what happens when 81 stitches need doing. Does that make any sense?
81 stitches, I'm in for the night.
The other question I'm asking is, if you don't do the stitch in time, will you really have 9 to do? I reckon a stitch in time saves 4. I reckon that maybe if you just 4. Or 5?
It's ridiculous.
Because time and 9 nearly rhyme.
Ah, time and 9 nearly rhyme. You've defended that very well, actually. And
Well, it was in my area of expertise.
It was,
clearly.
being a lady, being a woman lady thing. Tell us why you find your most unhelpful proverb to be every cloud has a silver lining.
I have a friend, and she's very annoying because she will say things to me like, "Oh, Joe, but remember, every cloud have a silver lining." You know, the other one, she goes, "Remember, it takes as many muscles to frown as it does to smile."
So you're saying it's one of the twee proverbs?
Indeed.
Yeah.
And then I think what you have to do in those situations, I think you should slap them.
Yeah.
I could maybe put it off.
They'll just see the good side of it.
They will. If you'd said, right, I was trying to go and see Bruce Springsteen in concert, and then on the way there, the car broke down, and then we had to walk 5 miles. I fell over and busted my ankle, and then we got mugged. Finally, we managed to get to the concert, but it had finished. And then my friend said, well, actually, the concert wasn't very good, so every cloud. Isn't it? They'll go, oh, the plane's going to crash, but you won't have to have a long wait at baggage reclaim.
Yes.
You know, every cloud, it's like the bad never outweighs the tiny good.
It's still quite a negative thing because a gold
Yeah.
lining or
Exactly.
a platinum lining
Yeah.
or a lining of candy floss and chocolate and white chocolate with raspberry cream inside. That would be much more cheering.
Sound like a really
Yeah.
pervy Willy Wonka now.
Yeah.
Come this way.
Yeah. Every cloud has a lining with penises inside. John,
Hi.
why is a little of what you fancy does you good so unhelpful to you?
It's just, we've sort of been proved that we can't be trusted. Everyone's fat and a drug addict and an alcoholic now. And it's all because we go, oh, a little of what we fancy does you good. And you go, yeah, but you only eat cake, though, don't you? So maybe it's time to replace it with a little of what does you good.
Yeah.
And I will decide when you can have cake.
Yeah. It's true. So basically, the people who quote it are the ones that don't adhere to it.
Yeah, the people that quote it are people who just use it as an excuse to smoke 40 fags a day and go, little of what... It's also, what if you fancy pushing someone off a cliff? You don't just push someone off a cliff. I just fancy doing it. It's done me the power of good.
Yes, that's right. You know, the serial killer who could have killed 18 just killed 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So actually, that isn't that helpful, is it? Because, yeah, not everything that you fancy is harmless.
I think they should just be honest and go, a little of what you fancy does you quite a lot of harm, but
Yeah.
do it anyway.
But do it anyway. So a little heroin does you good. Some self-harm does you good. Well, I am going to decide on this occasion that the winner of the coveted Lucas for most unhelpful proverb is "A stitch in time saves 9." The reason I have decided that, partly to see Stephen K. Amos smile, which is something I never thought I'd be able to do, but also because it's the smuggest of all of them. And Stephen didn't quite understand it either, did you, Stephen? You got a bit confused. He got the wrong end of the stick, so I think that's another reason why we should banish it. Throughout history, there have been many great pairings. Antony and Cleopatra, little and large, rice and pea. But what do my guests think? It's time for us to hear their nominations for the Lucas for greatest ever couple. John.
Romeo and Juliet.
Stephen.
The Queen and Prince Philip.
Joe.
Cagney and Lacey.
To recap, the nominations for greatest ever couple are Romeo and Juliet, Her Madge and That Greek Bloke, and Cagney and Lacey. Joe, you might have got the wrong end of the stick here. Cagney and Lacey were not, to my knowledge, romantically linked, but then who knows what goes on behind closed doors. We'll come to you shortly, Joe, but first, John, why did you nominate Romeo and Juliet? I would have imagined, being a northerner, probably skived off school to hang out down Recce. I'm surprised you've even heard of Romeo and Juliet.
Don't even get me started.
Romeo and That Juliet.
Oh.
In Liverpool, it'd be Romeo and our Juliet.
In Africa, it'd be Romeo and Juliet.
This game could continue.
So they're your greatest ever couple, Romeo and Juliet?
Yeah, it's the greatest story ever told. It's one of the best Shakespeare plays. And most importantly, Romeo and Juliet teaches us the lesson that the more you love someone, the more deeply they will hurt you, and that all relationships will ultimately end in premature death. Which I stand by. Usually I get compared to Victor Meldrew.
Do you? Do you ever get mistaken for anyone?
Someone once said Ben Affleck, which I thought was very nice.
Yeah.
Shut up.
I got mistaken for Bubble out of Big Brother. I was livid. This happened about 4 times. I was livid. He's a Chelsea fan. I'm not having that.